Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Yuma Fresh Vegetables Association. My name is Mike Clements, and I'm a producer of leafy greens in the Yuma area, joined by my two colleagues, Jesus Andrade, who is also a farmer in the Yuma area, as well as Risa Pulau, a busy mother of four, concerned mother, and tribal member of the Colorado River Indian Tribe community in Parker, Arizona. We are here to ask for funding for a consumer food safety awareness program to be showcased in grocery stores, to educate consumers on the proper handling and preparation of leafy vegetables and other foods that they can purchase or prepare in their homes. Based on the figures from the USDA show that there are 25 million foodborne illness cases in the United States every year. Of those, 9.2% are attributed to leafy vegetables, which I produce, as well as Jesus. Out of these outbreaks, 6 of them are large-scale multi-state outbreaks, with only 100 illnesses reported. There's a total of 2.3 million cases that are not that happen in contamination in the grocery store and in food preparation, and we want to combat and lower that number. Our goal is to educate the consumer on how to safely handle these products.
Good morning. I just want to thank you, first of all, for your time, for giving us the opportunity to hear us out and hopefully educate you and let you know our concerns. I myself am a consumer. I'm not only a consumer, but I'm a concerned consumer. As my kids shared with you guys, I am a mother, a single mom of 4 amazing kids. I have the awesome job of raising these little humans, hopefully to be great adults. And being a single mom of 4 kids and also working, penny pinching is a necessity in my household. I'm always trying to save money where I can, and also being busy from taking my kids to and from whatever practice they got going on at that time of year. So going to the grocery store can be a hassle, let's just say that. And so I want to get in there and get out. I have a little one who's 8 years old, and she likes to touch things. And she's in the produce picking grapes and eating them, putting them in her mouth when my back is turned. So my concern is for their health, their well-being. I'm also a tribal member, as my kid stated. I belong to the Colorado River Indian Tribes. I'm a Kiowa, Mojave, Chemehuevi. And as you know, the Native American people have I think it's a crisis personally. We are afflicted by the diabetics. Diabetes it's rampant within our culture. And a lot of it, I believe, is growing up in a Native American home. We are raised on flour for tortillas, for fry bread. That the health is just, it's not what it should be. And I feel that educating them in grocery stores with TV monitors that have little synopsises of did you know kind of facts would be beneficial, not just for myself, not just for my tribe, but for everybody in general. I'm also a daughter. I have an elder mother who I'm concerned about her health. And as you know, foodborne illnesses, something small can turn into something big, and we want to prevent things if we can, if possible. With that, I'd like to let Mike give some of his background. He did let you guys know that he works with lettuce, and so he's going to give you a breakdown of what that entails and the safety that they provide.
So, as a producer of leafy vegetables, we do everything in our power to ensure that the product that we produce is as safe for our consumers as possible. A few of the steps that we do to ensure this is we do pre-season audits of every ranch, every location in which we are going to grow these products, and ensure that there's no potential contamination for the crops that we're going to grow and harvest for the consumer. We go through third-party audits to ensure that all of our records are inspected to ensure that all the inputs that we are putting on are from a clean source and everything is done specific to the labeled usages. We monitor the fields throughout the growing season, and if we find things such as animal intrusion or other potential contamination to the fields, we will go and install fencing and mark buffer zones so we will not harvest anything close to where the animal intrusion happened to minimize any potential contact with our consumer. We also go ahead and treat irrigation water with parasitic acid and chlorine to help sanitize the water and keep it clear of the major pathogens, which are norovirus, E. coli, salmonella, and listeria. We also work with training our employees on what they can do to help keep that growing region clean so they can continue to be part of the safe produce. Lastly, our harvest, everything is completely sanitized. Anything that comes in contact with any food product is covered, sanitized with a chlorine solution throughout the day to minimize any spread of potential risks.
Misconceptions. Now, that's some great information, right? But are we going to go back and remember all of that? Probably not, right? So, again, with us having these small TV monitors that are giving good did you know kind of facts, I think that'll be beneficial. I know that I have a lot of misconceptions that I think that if I'm going to buy organic food versus processed food, I'm going to be more healthier, but that's not necessarily the case. Just because organic food doesn't have as much chemicals as, or doesn't use chemicals versus another product that does, the responsibility is ourself. We got to take responsibility and own it. And by giving the knowledge of how to do things, I think that will help the community as a whole to be better, to be healthier, just to be. And with that, Jesus is going to be telling a little bit of the basics that we learned. I know as a kid, I grew up learning how to wash your hands. Something as simple as washing your hands. Some people don't do it. Or if they do it improperly. And we want to share and show how it's done within the stores.
Thank you. Yeah, so as they're saying, our goal is to educate consumers. We definitely do not want to scare them. As a farmer, we make a living by selling our produce, right? So we want people to buy healthy food to eat and also meat. Consumers, they have the power and they think they don't. But farmers, we grow what they buy. And we want to make sure that it's safe for them to eat. We do everything we can for it to be safe to eat. But once the product leaves the field, it has to go to a warehouse, which we have no control over. Then it goes to a supermarket, which we have no control over as farmers. And then the consumer buys it and takes it home, and we don't know how they're handling that product. So that's where we want to come in and teach them how to handle the produce safe and also how to cook meat properly to where if there was anything missing along that chain to, from the field to their houses, if they cook it properly, if they wash it properly, they should eliminate the risk of getting sick from eating these products and keeping their family safety. There's four simple steps, which is to basically clean, separate, cook, and chill, right? So you want to wash your hands. You want to separate food to prevent cross-contamination. You want to cook it properly, and then once you cook it after, if you're going to save it, if there's leftovers, you want to put it in the fridge. You don't want to leave it sitting in the counter or on the stove, allowing those bacteria to reproduce. Mike mentioned Listeria, Salmonella, E. coli. Those are very scary words, especially with the media, but they're natural occurring bacteria. And if you cook them properly, they die and they're not harmless. But yeah. So washing your hands, most people think that rinsing your hands is washing your hands. The proper technique to wash your hands is you got to put soap, scrub for 20 seconds, and then rinse, and then use a towel to dry your hands. So I think most of us do not wash our hands properly. When preparing food at home, a lot of moms think, I buy helmets for the kids to keep them safe. I put their seat belt when we're riding on the car. But when they're cooking, they're, allowing cross-contamination to occur in their food, right? So you want to have separate cutting boards for your meat and your vegetables, or if you only have one cutting board, we recommend just cutting your vegetables, putting them to the side, and then cut your raw chicken. This was developed by the USDA and is fairly available online or on your libraries. So the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, regulates our meat, poultry, and eggs. And then the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, regulates vegetables and any other processed food. So these are the recommendations they do for properly cooking meats. So any piece of steak, lamb, pork chop, 145 degrees, and it should be safe to eat if there was any contamination. That doesn't mean that there is, but if you cook it to this temperature, you're eliminating the risk. Ground beef 160, that's only because when they do ground beef, they mix different parts of the animal, so there's a bigger chance of getting contamination. So if you cook it to 160, you should eliminate any risk of bacteria. And then chicken 165, that's just because salmonella is a natural occurring bacteria in chicken. Proper storing, so when you store your food products at home, you want to have always your vegetables on top of the fridge. You don't want to have them underneath and have your raw meats on top, because they're going to drip blood or any juices, and they're going to contaminate your veggies. And then lastly, food safety is everyone's business. I think as a farmer, I sometimes feel that they always leave the responsibility to us. When there's an outbreak, all the media goes to the farm. What are farmers doing to prevent this from happening? And I think what we want to accomplish by educating consumers is to empower them to know how to handle their food, and also to share the responsibility of food safety. I think with that, I'll pass it along to Risa. Okay, you want me to do it?
Sorry, I'm not that computer savvy. So the most funnest part is we're going to talk about the money portion, what we are asking. Now, you think that, do we have our, we're requesting that we have hand sanitation set up in grocery stores. And we are also asking that TV monitors be set up that have the fun facts, good stuff to know for parents, for dads, for just the public in general. Now, the cost of this is going to be $22,800. That's an ongoing cost. The initial setup cost is $13,500. We have a broken down version of all this for you, but I know that if I know me, I look at numbers and I kind of get lost, but we have that provided for you. But what does that buy for you guys? What you're going to invest some money in us and our cause that we believe. Do you guys remember the COVID pandemic? It was kind of shut the whole world down for a while, right? Imagine now if we would have had the hand sanitation setups within the grocery stores, or the good fun facts need to know, it could have prevented a little less of how huge it was. And that's what we're here today. We want to prevent things. We want to educate. We want to help and make our world a little bit better, a little bit healthier. I want my mom to be around a long time. I want my kids to be around a long time. And we can do our part by sharing what we know with you guys. So we are asking for your help, your support. Help us help you.
There we are. Great. Thank you very much for an informative presentation. I was wondering, did you have an opportunity as any of your research to talk to grocery stores about how willing they would be to have a setup like this?
We did not consultate any grocery stores for this as of yet. Any programs we do, we'd like to start in Yuma, just because the large amount of agriculture industry that's in the area, the local citizenry would be more apt to working with us, we believe.
So the other question I would have you looked at some of the other programs like Field to Fork, Farm to Home? any of those programs that have started that maybe you could collaborate with in order to implement? It's quite a large vision you have, which is great, but a very needed one. But are there others that you were able to talk to or collaborate with in order to implement?
I can answer that. So I'm from Parker, which we reside on a reservation. It's quite small, and like I was sharing with you, we do have that diabetes that's just rampant within our community. So we have in our, and it just recently started, is where it's the farm to fresh, and they're having our own community members grow their own, kind of like their own organic garden, and they feed from that. It's kind of like a food supply for, or a food bank, if I may. And we have that program. We don't have anything, I feel, that is, like you said, food to fork. Is that what you? Yeah, we don't have anything like that. But I think that it would be great for our town to start up something to help.
Yeah, and I think we can definitely collaborate. Like I said, food safety is everybody, right? And as part of a class, I did a food safety class in Yuma at the U of A. And the material that I chose to present to you today, I picked it based on what people didn't know, which is, you would think it's common sense, but as I've learned on the farm, common sense is not so common.
I have worked with some of these programs, such as Field to Fork or Field to Feast tours, is what we call them in Yuma, through the University of Extension. A lot of those programs were based on showcasing how the food is produced, and there was food safety was tied into it. Everyone had to was harvesting their own vegetables, put on the put on the hair nets, wash their hands, had to go through the whole thing. But that's a very small group, and so we're trying to put this more in front of the direct consumers who are purchasing these things to educate them more, putting the education in front of them instead of them having to come out and seek the education themselves.
And I have a two-parter. It's not really related, but just two questions I'll ask for time. One is, do you see this as a uniquely rural or tribal issue? Or if it was a grocery chain that participated, would it apply in their urban markets? That's question one. And then question two is, who would own and operate the stations and be responsible for the video content in an ongoing way?
Well, I think as far as for the hand sanitation stations, that would come, of course, the permission of the grocery stores, the owners. I know that on Parker, our tribe owns our Safeway there. We're very small. We have only two markets. So the other one would, we'd probably have to get the consent of Food City, the management from them.
What was the second part of your question?
About who would operate and be responsible for the stations in an ongoing way and the stores?
I think we would have to partner with the grocery stores that want to participate in this program, and they would be responsible just because, they have employees there, day and night basically, so they can help us monitor and regulate the water and test for, chlorine levels or anything like that. It would definitely take some partnership with the grocery stores.
And also, you as Yuma Fresh Vegetables Association, we are asking for money, would be involved in this very much, because our main goal is to minimize foodborne illnesses. Whenever foodborne illnesses happen, it's bad press. There's a saying that there's no such thing as bad press, but when it comes to food illness, it is very bad press for all producers. So by you as Yuma Fresh Vegetables helping to fund this project, we would be hopefully minimizing the number of illnesses, which would, no news is good news when it comes to foodborne illnesses.